Hello, back to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at the newly released Shadow version of Sceptile in the Open Ultra League. We're going to have a team here that is usually used, I think, with Trevenant. Used this team, I think, as well when Aurora's first came out. Aurora's double grass does make a lot of sense here. We're going to have, of course, our Sceptile here of the Virizion, which is going to have access to the move Stone Edge. You are not running Leaf Blade here right now, because Leaf Blade would help you, of course, against a lot of matchups, but kinda, like, Virizion is one of those Pokemon where you kinda really want to have 3 charge moves, and here you only, of course, have 2. But because as you use a Sceptile, you usually get out the potential flying type. For that reason, Stone Edge just helps you out way more, in my opinion. Here we're going to face up against a Tentacruel now, which is going to have to take one of those Media Beams most likely, but they're going to shield this move up as well. Aurora so far, I think it didn't even swap out yet a single time, so Aurora's just going to town here right now. And now we're going to go into our Sceptile. Sceptile has access to the move Earthquake, but we're going to see now the Guzzlord coming back in here, as we can move into our Virizion. Definitely like the moveset that I had here. It was a little bit tricky sometimes against something like a Tapu Fini if they didn't want to swap out, but usually you can align your Sceptile into the Tapu Fini, so that should be fine. But yeah, it's still a lot of fun to play this team, actually, more than I expected. As you now see, the Tentacruel going to have to take one Stone Edge here, but that's not only it. That's not going to knock them out, but, you know, already we're going to be able to even take this move for whatever reason they throw here. That doesn't make any sense at all. Even Sludge Wave, I think they just gave up at this point of time, and they did. As we see here already, they were forfeiting, and we will be able to win this game. Next game coming up, who's going to be our next opponent? It's going to be a Galarian Stunfisk. What we're going to do here now is we're going to count up to 8. They can go for a Rock Slide, but they can also go for an Earthquake. Earthquake is way more scary, but both of the moves are going to be resisted by our Virizion, where they're going to go into their Pidgeot as expected. That's why we have the Stone Edge packed onto our Pokemon here, which will now allow it to get a shield advantage, which is pretty decent, but the opponent actually going to decide to not throw a charge move here, which is smart. I can still go ahead and go for the Sacred Sword, which is going to get some decent damage on them. And now we can go ahead, go straight for the Weather Ball. I actually expected myself to win CMP against the opponent, like I was super sure about that one. But this is not the case here. We are not going to be able to knock them out yet, and now they're going to still be able to go for one Brave Bird, which is really annoying, but that's how it is. We're going to be able to farm all the way down. We can swap into our Sceptile against the Galarian Stunfisk, and now it's going to be an interesting matchup here. We're going to go ahead, shield the move up, and we're going to go straight for the Earthquake. Let's see if they're going to let this move go through. Boom, bye-bye there for the opponent. This was a very nice nuke there against the opponent's Galarian Stunfisk. They didn't expect it. Earthquake on Sceptile is just such a good coverage move. And basically, very similar to the Meganium here, of course, but Leaf Blade as well is a little bit better, by the way, compared to Frenzy Plant. Frenzy Plant is actually not the preferred move for this Pokemon. Leaf Blade is just such a strong charge move that you don't even want to use the Community Day move Frenzy Plant. So you can use it without any Legacy move. It's way better with the Leaf Blade compared to Frenzy Plant. You don't really want to use a Frenzy Plant at all. Leaf Blade plus Earthquake seems to be the way to go. What is also seems to be the way to go is the opponent throwing their Energy Ball from their Galvantula against me, which I did not expect whatsoever, but hey, we're going to now have our Sceptile aligned against the opponent's Jellicent, which we're going to shield up the opponent's Shadow Ball as well. And sadly, I'm going to make a small mistake here by going for one charge move here, not winning this matchup because they survive with 1 HP and shielding up the Surf. I thought that would be already a Shadow Ball, but I guess they weren't. And now we're going to see a Mana Burst. This is going to be awkward, but we can go ahead and go for the bait here first. Is going to do some decent damage if they would let it go through, but they don't, allowing us now to nuke away this Spooder coming in here. Media Beam going to knock them out, and now we're going to see the Mana Burst coming in, going to knock us out now, which is fine. They waste the energy here. They should be pretty energy dry, and we can go ahead and go into our Virizion. Virizion has Stone Edge for a reason. This is definitely very good in this matchup here right now, because Stone Edge will be able to do a ton of super effective damage against the opponent here, which will be very nice. As you're going to see here, we're going to do some nice damage against the opponent. We're going to let this move go through here, going to do some decent damage, but now it's all down to Sceptile. We can go for one charge move here. We have 2 Leaf Blades stored in 2 Leaf Blades, going to be enough here. Sceptile going to sweep that endgame there as well with that Leaf Blade coming through, going to knock out the opponent. A very good game. Next opponent coming in. Who's going to be our next opponent? We're going to see a Jellicent against us. We're going to try to catch the Surf here onto our Let's go into our LilyNiRiain, which is going to work out really well. They're luckily swapping out as well, but we're going to encounter another hard wall for us here. Horrible lead, horrible say swap here for us as well. The issue with Clefable as well is this Pokemon is pretty damn bulky, which will allow it to take those moves pretty easily. And the thing is as well, it has access to the move Media Mesh, and Media Mesh is a Steel type move, and they already have it here. And a Steel type move would easily one-shot my Auroras, so I cannot really risk anything. You have to just basically go up to 100 energy, go for the Weather Ball here. Hopefully it does not knock them out, but it does knock them out, and I'm going to have to swap out immediately here as we encounter Grand Ball coming in. This is not looking too good here for us. We will go ahead, go for one Leaf Blade, at least going to do some decent damage. Maybe I should one straight for the Earthquake, but Leaf Blade spam is coming through now, going to get the shield from the opponent, and I have to call that this is a crunch. A close combat would knock us out here, but it's actually going to be a crunch from the opponent. Like this, we can still reach another charge move, which is amazing, because now this will knock out the opponent already. We have a ton of energy, and we can actually still get to another Leaf Blade. Like, our Sceptile is just completely going to town here. We can go ahead and go for one Media Beam here as well against the opponent. This will do a tremendous amount of damage. Gonna put them very low. We can shield up the move here, but also, because Auroras is a pretty bulky boy, we're going to be able to survive the Surf coming in here as well now. This is going to do some decent damage, of course, but one more Media Beam going to be enough to knock out the opponent. We can have another boom here, as it's going to be a very good game for us. Very fun team. Like, this team made so much fun. Like, in general, Auroras is so much fun if you hit those Media Beams. Horrific lead there again, but we're going to bait out the Charizard. That's exactly what we want to do. Do they know that we have Stone Edge, though? That's the question here. Let's take a look at this one. They do know about it, and they're going to shield this move up, and they're still going to throw the charge move, which is amazing for us, because there's actually a Blast Burn for whatever reason they did this. At least it's going to allow us to now align our Auroras against the opponent. They're gonna go for another Blast Burn. We kind of have to go for the Media Beam, but sadly it's going to be a CMP time. And this is going to be the most awkward matchup, I think, as well, because now I don't have energy here anymore. I can knock them out, I can swap out here, and they're going to stay in here. And I make a huge mistake. For me, I only went for 5 fast moves here, which is not enough for them to get to 1 Moonblast, but I guess I was wrong, and they go for the Moonblast, and they literally had a Swampert in the back. If I just shielded up, farmed them down, there was nothing they could have done. So I literally threw the game there for no reason, which is of course amazing, great job me, but yeah, this was winnable. Next opponent here, we're going to see another Swampert in the lead here, as we're going to get out the opponent's Pidgeot, which is amazing for our Sceptile, because Sceptile has literally 0 play against any flying type Pokemon, as you only have a Leaf Blade available as your strongest move against those Pokemon. As we can see here, we can at least go ahead and go for some charge moves against the opponent. Gonna put them low. They use their energy as well, which is amazing, because now this allows us hopefully to farm them all the way down without any bigger issue. They're still going to be able to survive it, and they still get to another charge move, which is annoying because it's going to be a Brave Bird. Going to do some decent damage, and we have to swap out immediately, catching the move from the opponent. And let's see what they're going to have in the bag. We actually see that they're not going to swap out here. That's amazing for us. We can go ahead and go for one more Leaf Blade. This Leaf Blade going to get the shield from the opponent means they seem to be pretty weak to Sceptile in the back, which is kind of funny, because, like, who is weak to Sceptile in the back? We will be able to shield up the next opponent's charge move here as well, going to be the Hydro Cannon. And we're going to see now it's going to be the Obstacle in the back. That's going to be so bad for us, because we kind of needed to have that aligned against our, like, in general, like before against our LilyNiRiain. It would have helped out so much more. Thought that would be super weak, but like this, there's basically no way of us winning this here, right? Or wrong, because they can still Media Beam them and going to be able to knock them out here. The Swampert comes in, they can farm us down. Who wins CMP? Sceptile wins CMP, and this is going to be a very good game there, because this Leaf Blade going to completely annihilate Swampert's entire family as well. Most like does around like 400 damage or something. Double super effective. Shadow Sceptile, pretty high attack stat as well against a Swampert. I think that does a ton of damage. Yeah, the opponent going to stay in HE, which is kind of wild. What is also kind of wild is that they bait me here in this scenario, which doesn't make any sense at all. But we will be able to go ahead, go for one Stone Edge. Now at least they see that we don't have a Leaf Blade, which is going to be a little bit awkward. But at least we can go for another Stone Edge here as well, doing some decent damage. But they're going to actually shield this move up here, which does make some kind of sense. I'm going to call the bait, and it is a bait, which is amazing, as I can go for another charge move. And I think this is another bait here as well. And it was, which makes us now, gives us at least now the opportunity to realign our Pokemon, while not even using extra shields, which is amazing. But sadly, we're going to encounter Steelix here, which is going to take a lot of damage from this one here, but it's still going to be a very difficult Pokemon to deal with because Steelix is actually a pretty annoying Pokemon to deal with in this kind of way here. It's just so bulky. It's just so bulky, especially also them having the Shadow version is kind of wild. Here we sadly see the obstacle now against us. If they didn't shield this move up, we still had a chance. Like this, it's kind of awkward. We have to go for another charge move here, trying to put them low enough that I can go ahead and go for one Leaf Blade to knock them out. I think there might be in range here. Let's take a look at this. Leaf Blade is coming through. Is this a range where we can knock them out? It is not, and they survive by 1 HP, which is really crucial because now my opponent can just go ahead, go into their Steelix, and there's nothing I can do about this one. Steelix is just able to farm me all the way down, otherwise I would have been able to even survive a charge move by them, but like this, there's nothing I can do here. Next opponent, that's going to be a funny matchup. I think I remember this one. We're going to see a horrible lead, okay, not really horrible lead, but a decent lead for us, actually. Pretty okay-ish lead. We're going to see the opponent going into their Drapion, which will have access to the move Awkward Tail, which I now know, of course, and that's why I can benefit from that, as I can just catch this move onto my Virizion, which will have access, of course, to Stone Edge as well, which will be good against the Ninetales if it ever wants to come back in here. Like this, we will be able to just go ahead and go for some double kick action here and go for some Sacred Swords. As we see now, we can go ahead and go for another Sacred Sword here. That's going to knock out the opponent if they want me to, but they're actually going to shield this move up, swapping into the Ninetales. Fine for me. Stone Edge is coming their way. Stone Edge going to do a ton of damage against the opponent here as well. And we can go ahead and go just for the Weather Balls now at this point of time. What my opponent also going to do here is just going to go for a Weather Ball. But it's totally okay for us. We just have the Weather Ball Ice Spam here from both sides, as we're going to be able to farm them all the way down now. And this allows us to have a ton of energy. Drapion comes back in here. I can go ahead and go for another charge move. They're going to let this move go through. And we see another Pokemon coming in here, which is going to be the Mandibuzz. At this point of time, as they let this move go through, I know already I win this game, but because I don't really care too much. Like, if they go for the shield here, I'm going to troll them, and they went for the shield here, so I went to troll them as well. I'm gonna go into my Sceptile here right now, and just because they shield up my charge move, even though this game was clearly over, I am going to go ahead and go for the full BM here, and just gonna go ahead and go for the Earthquake, as you're going to see now, as I can go ahead and shield up the moves, but the Earthquake is coming up now, and Earthquaking a Mandibuzz is basically one of the best things in life, so here we see that one. Goodbye there, Mandibuzz, as we can go ahead and go into the next match up here as well. It's going to be a horrible lead for us, but we can play this out pretty well. We see the Muk coming in here, and do they know that we have Earthquake? That's the question. Of course they do not, and we can just knock them out straight away, say goodbye to them, and we see a Clefable coming in. It means we can now realign, which is important. The opponent had a hard counter team to mine, but because they just went ahead and thought, this is most likely just a Leaf Blade or Frenzy Plant, we can take this move. Nope, it was not, my friend. It was an Earthquake. Next opponent, next game up here, we're going to see now that we can go for one Weather Ball against the opponent's Clefable. We will be able to get them low, and I swapped out too early into the Virizion. I expected my opponent to swap out with their Pokemon as well into the Empoleon. But like this, it's still fine, because we were able to farm down, we were able to get a ton of energy here. And I think the energy really saved us here as well, as we're going to be able to go for another charge move soonish. They go for their charge move, I'm just going to go straight for mine. They're going to go ahead, and I actually didn't go straight for mine. That was kind of a mistake. Show went straight for mine, but I went a little bit later. I can go for the charge move here, it's going to nearly knock them out. And at this point of time, we're just going to go ahead and farm them all the way down with our Powder Snow. Good game there. To this opponent that didn't expect me to have Earthquake, I guess. Very nice game. Going to the final one for this video. Horrific lead again for us. As you see now, the Scrafty coming in, we're going to swap into the Virizion. This is still not the best matchup either. I wish it would just do a little bit more damage here. As you're going to see, we will be able to go for another charge move here as well, which is going to do some decent damage, but not gonna put them into range where I would be able to farm all the way down, sadly. So this is kind of tricky. Yes, they're going to go for their own charge move here. I can go ahead and go for another one as well. This will knock them out, of course. I don't think they're going to shield this one up here. And now we're going to have the Muk aligned against us, which will allow us to go for one Stone Edge. The Stone Edge is going to do some decent damage. And we will now see that the opponent can farm me all the way down. And we see an Obstagoon in the back. And this is going to be a little bit of a trickier one now, because Obstagoon can, I think, win this matchup pretty easily against our Sceptile, unless I'm going to be able to outspeed them, which I don't know really if that's the case here, because they also had some energy advantage before. But here we're going to see now the opponent gonna go ahead and shield up all the charge moves here. I'm going to shield up the move as well, I think, and it's going to be another Night Slash. We will be able to go ahead and go for a Leaf Blade our own, and this should do enough damage to hopefully knock them out, and it does do enough damage to knock them out. They didn't want to shield for whatever reason, I don't know why, but we will be able to go ahead, go back into our Auroras. Our Dinosaur is going to take those moves like its charm, as it can go ahead, go for one Weather Ball here, going to get the shield, and now we can go for another one, which is going to most likely knock them out. Let's take a look at this. It does not quite do that yet, but we can now see that we are going to be able to take this charge move here. So, well, they're going to go ahead and go for the Dark Bolts, but one more Leaf Blade would have been enough, but also the Bullet Seed is. And yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Sceptile was a lot of fun. Hope you enjoyed this one as well, and I see you in the next one. Bye.